Ever since I can remember, it was my dream to become a Hollywood actress. I love doing school plays and researching about what goes on in Hollywood. Before I started researching about what happens behind the scenes in Hollywood, I thought that Hollywood, its movies, actors, and actresses portrayed of what the world should be. Don't we all love that moment when Warner Bros. Pictures, 20th Century Fox, Universal, Pixar, animation/image pops up on our screen when we're about to watch a movie we're really excited about? Or really just any film production company's logo. I know I am. We love the world of entertainment. Watching our favorite shows on Netflix, following Hollywood influencers on Instagram, and adopting the trends that they dictate is part of our daily lives. This is why I hope that you will stick with me throughout the end of this speech, because I hope that covering three aspects: Hollywood is not a safe place, pedophilia is a growing pandemic in Hollywood, and three, Hollywood is cruel and immoral, will help bring a level of awareness and hopefully motivate the change in our behavior and outlook on the so-called perfection of Hollywood. We're told that the role of Hollywood is entertainment, yet through it, Hollywood Deceit tries to convey a different message and dictate other trends. So let's start with the first aspect. Hollywood is not as safe as we think. Let's focus on the film sets, who are not always safe. Each one of us has probably watched and enjoyed a great deal of action movies where amazing stunts were performed. While we admire the act, have we any idea what that entailed? Probably not. According to cyberbreeze.com, this is probably the most visually horrific accident that has happened on a set of a film. During filming The Twilight Zone, a helicopter had a slight malfunction due to pyrotechnics, which led to decapitating two actors and crushing the third. Pretty terrifying, right? While filming The Conqueror in 1956, it is believed that the filming location and radiation level led to 91 people who worked on the film to develop cancer within a few decades, the most famous example being John Wayne. Now, not only are Hollywood film sets unsafe for actors, but their stunts as well. XXS was a film that turned Vin Diesel into an A-list star and granted him some great movie action roles. However, it wasn't him doing the stunts. His stunt double's name was Harry O'Connor, and he would unfortunately die on the set of XXS when a stunt went bad and he crashed into a bridge. What we see on the screen is not real life. Now, on to the second point. Pedophilia is a growing pandemic in Hollywood. Researching a great deal about Hollywood, this was a very consistent topic that confirms the absence of so-called Hollywood perfection. According to Robert Downey Jr.'s Instagram post that was viewed more than 68,000 times in 24 hours, an elite Hollywood pedophile ring is emerging before our eyes. Selling and child abuse is a regular daily occurrence. People's most famous leaders and icons such as Obama, Biden, Charlie Chaplin, Elvis Presley, and many others have been heavily involved in such acts. After receiving much public attention, a certain documentary that displays it all has been forever deleted from internet's history. The documentary showed all evidence of such and mentions one of the most famous outlets for completing the transaction of selling children and child abuse. The restaurant is located near Hollywood, decorated with very strange/provocative artwork. People who are heavily involved use symbols and code words of food such as ice cream to portray a profile of a child which they plan on buying and using. In the documentary, President of the United States Donald Trump works hard to fight against it. According to Vaccine.com, while being busy capturing the hearts of the world, Charlie Chaplin was also a notorious womanizer. He claimed to have slept with over 2,000 women. One thing that Charlie Chaplin's pursuits had in common was their youth. He even impregnated a minor, Lita Gray, who he first met when she was only 12 years old. Now, regarding Elvis Presley, despite being the king of rock and roll, he was incredibly insecure, especially where sex was concerned. This meant that Presley only desired very young girls who hadn't had any sexual experience, which could put pressure on himself. This led to him asking his managers to round up girls who were 16 and younger, which in most states is illegal. This proves that ethics in Hollywood have been pushed to the side. What happened to transparency and accountability for one's actions? We need to live in a world where such acts don't go unseen and unpunished, and where children's rights are protected. Pedophilia and child abuse doesn't exactly scream Hollywood perfection, does it? On to the third point, the Hollywood world is cruel and immoral. While basically every point here talks about humans and harsh cruelty behind human behavior and relationships, aka abuse, there is animal cruelty carried through Hollywood as well. According to cyberbreeze.com, during multi-year filming of the Hobbit series, approximately 27 animals died. These animals ranged from sheep, goats, and even horses. Now, immorality is a big issue. This should have never happened, but despite only being 12, Brooke Shields appeared in the film Pretty Baby as a child prostitute and had several suggestive scenes in the film, which was simply unacceptable. Should we even begin on affairs? There have been numerous affairs in Hollywood, but few have ruined a career like Bergman's did. At the time, Bergman was one of the biggest actresses out there, but when she had an affair with a married man while also being married herself on the set of a film, she was vilified in public. And now, I'm not only talking about immorality given sexual connotations, I'm also talking about the fraud behind the film. According to dictionary.cambridge.org, the definition of immorality is morally wrong or outside society's standards or acceptable, honest, and moral behavior. The definition mentions honesty. Now, I feel posed to ask this question. How many films have you seen in the last decade that portrays American soldiers as heroes in every movie while they're gone protecting their country in some war where, according to the history, no one is really attacking them? The answer would be too many. Or how many movies have you seen in the last decade that portrays Russians or Serbs as the good guys? The answer would be none. We need to be aware that entertainment can divert our views on historical facts, organizations, and people. I'll give you another example. How many times have you heard of a reference to Mormons in a good connotation and not in a mocking tone? Check the shows like South Park, The Simpsons, and Friends, and you'll understand. So what's Hollywood's role in these situations? To persuade the public that Americans are always heroes, Russians and Serbs are always the bad guys, and that Mormons or Latter-day Saints are religious fanatics and weirdos? Probably. And this is kind of like the main issue. Now, it's not so much about entertainment, but affecting the way we think and perceive historical facts, or just our thinking process in general. May I even suggest that Hollywood entertainment doesn't give us enough time to think and make conclusions on our own because it does it for us. What's presented is easily accepted and viewed as normal. Now, having shared all of this, I want you to ask yourselves, what message does Hollywood send to the public? Do you see the Hollywood deceit? Does it portray a picture of a perfect place? Or does it use entertainment to hide what really happens behind the scenes and divert our views? How can you avoid being deceived? I ask and plead with you now, think, what is it you can do to stop the Hollywood from diverting your views and avoid being a possible victim of pedophilia, cruelty, and immorality? Because what's happening in Hollywood isn't only affecting the world in Hollywood, but our own daily lives. It's only spreading from Hollywood throughout the rest of the world. Thank you.